Well, Happy New Year, Husker fans. It is the Wednesday forecast as we get ready for the Thursday night opener in Kansas City. It's Nebraska. It's Cincinnati. Sean, let's first talk about the depth chart. We haven't had one all training camp. We have one now. What were your big takeaways?
Well, still questions, Andy, about that tackle position, what they'll do with guys like Elijah Pritchett, Teddy Prohaska, Gunnar Gatula. I think particularly those three. Today I was leaning towards probably Elijah Pritchett being the left tackle, but you just never know what it's going to look like. And then Teddy Prohaska probably the right tackle. On the defensive line, I thought it was real positive to see Williams Nwaneri up there on that co-1 line with Cam Lenhart. He's had a good August, which I think this defense needs, especially with the investment they've made to him for the future and the guys they've lost. That was a real promising sign. Kicker remains open. They've kind of played that one close to the vest. I just think some of these decisions, they know what they're going to do, but they just kind of want to play those cards a little bit closer.
Yeah, you mentioned Elijah Pritchett. Coach Rule talking some very pointed comments towards Pritchett, saying it was not an off-the-field issue at all. It's just what he's doing on the field, and right now on the field he hasn't separated himself.
Yeah, the biggest thing are the mental errors, the jumping and false starts, and if you do that instead of 5-yard penalty, that destroys the whole offense. So I think for him, that is as big of a thing as any. In terms of physical talent, he might be the best draft prospect on this roster in terms of what he could be. Now, the question is, can he be that guy? And can he be that guy consistently?
And also a quarterback. Nobody wants to talk about what happens if Dillon were to go down, but I thought that was interesting to see a little shuffling in the quarterback depth chart.
Yeah, you have Jalen Gramstad now the third with TJ Lateef, the true freshman, at number 2. And those two guys are about 6 years apart in age when you look at them. But I think it tells you how much TJ has kind of come on. And I will tell you, when we had that one open practice, I saw it right away. I said, wow, you can tell he's on the come. And Jalen is a solid guy, but doesn't have the physical toolbox that Lateef has. And Lateef played the highest level of high school football in California. So I thought that was a really nice development, Andy, to see TJ Lateef have the camp that he had as the number 2 quarterback.
Yeah, Lateef gives you that extra dynamic by being able to run the football and just tucking it and going, much like Brendan Sorsby of Cincinnati, the quarterback there. This guy's a veteran, and he not only can throw it, but he can run it, and that's got Coach Rule's attention.
One, he's, 235 pounds?
Yep.
He's a physical body that you're not going to be able to just bring down. So his mobility, his physical size, and the receivers and the tight end. I mean, they have some weapons. And this is going to be an offense, I think, that wants to grind this game out, maybe limit the possessions to 8 or 9, where I think Dana Holgerson and Dylan Raiola would love to play a little bit more tempo and kind of push it at the pace they want to play at.
Yeah, you mentioned the receivers and the tight end. Joe Royer is the tight end for the Bearcats. He just broke Travis Kelce's single-season receptions record last year with 50 grabs, so he's a guy to keep an eye on, number 11. On defense for Cincinnati, they got a guy named Corleone, Dante Corleone. They call him the Godfather, and this guy's a big body up front. He's a nose tackle, 6'1", 335.
Our younger viewers won't know who Dante Corleone is, but it's and I mistakenly called him Vito, by the way, on one of my shows this week. But Dante Corleone, that matchup with him with Justin Evans, that will be one of the bigger ones to watch because you've got a legitimate All-Big 12 NFL draft pick guy in the middle against a center making his first collegiate start at center. You almost have to think that Rocco Spindler is going to be heavily involved in kind of a double team plan, a chipping plan, because you cannot let him take over the middle because that will completely change the whole game plan for Nebraska.
Yeah, and the interesting part about a season opener, especially on a Thursday night, is the element of the unknown. What do you think is keeping the Husker coaches up at night?
Well, yeah, I think in this portal era, there's just so many new players on rosters on every team. So not being able to see a lot of some of these transfer players and new looks you bring in an opener, that is challenging. Where a year ago, Nebraska opened in the UTEP, you could kind of go in the game a little bit more comfortable, even though UTEP had a brand new coach in Scotty Walden last year. But this one, Satterfield is on kind of on the hot seat there. And they're going to put a lot into this game because they need this game as much as Nebraska does. And that point spread's only about a touchdown, Andy. So this is a tough opener, as tough as Nebraska's had. I mean, they were bigger favorites in perspective against Northwestern and Ireland. They were bigger favorites against Illinois and Champaign a couple of years ago. They lost both those games, as we know. But this is on paper. I think a lot of people expect Nebraska to win this game handily, not handily, but comfortably. But the odds makers look at it like it's going to go into the fourth quarter.
Yeah, they usually know, don't they? What are you most confident about this Nebraska team going into 2025?
I think the offense. I think the direction that Dana Holgerson's taking it with Dylan Raiola. There's just a feel around this team, and I've talked to others and guys that have been around the game and other sports even, and they said you can just sense when teams kind of know they're good. And I think there's this feeling of confidence that this group has. And I'm so excited to see that play out now for 4 quarters. Special teams are going to be markedly better. Obviously, the defense, to me, is the question, how they come out with so many younger faces on that front 4 or that defensive line, and how can they get off the field and win some of those early third downs. But they've got a great advantage being essentially in a home stadium. The crowd noise, that noise level, I think, could impact this game where Nebraska's defense hopefully can feed off that.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you finally about the intangibles, one of them being a home crowd advantage, even though Nebraska is technically the visiting team. How big of a deal will that be?
It's going to be massive. Arrowhead Stadium is arguably the loudest stadium on the planet, and that's they have the Guinness Book of World Record for noise. Well, it's going to be all Nebraska fans in that stadium. Ticket sales are probably over 70,000. It seats 76. It would not surprise me by kickoff if it's not sold out, very close to being sold out. And over 90% are going to be Nebraska fans. It's going to be an awesome day in Kansas City for those that travel down, in a different feel than your traditional Nebraska home game. Normally at a home game, the seating hierarchy are older people, the kind of people that have had access to these seats for decades. Arrowhead Stadium was a free-for-all. Whoever got in line bought things first, got the parking spaces first. I mean, this is going to be a true fan feel, a lot different than your normal Nebraska home game because of just the access that people had to get some of these tickets.
Yeah, you can bet a lot of students will be making that trek down to Kansas City. I know my two college-age daughters are making that trek. It should be a fun one. It's the opener. It's Nebraska. It's Cincinnati. First meeting between these two teams since 1906. Thursday night, 8 o'clock start. It's on ESPN.